what I'm gonna talk about is a combination of things I used to do with a lot of different women, because there's too many situations to, go through all of them. So I'm gonna basically give you the footnotes of what usually would happen. So let's say I was at a bar or an event. I might be at a networking event or something, right? Let's say it's a networking event. And I would see a woman who has a wedding ring on her finger. So I already know she's married, right? So we're at this networking event. People are networking, drinking, having a good time, interacting with each other. So what happens is I would go and talk to this woman, right? And one of the first things I would say, or I would bring up, and I would bring up the fact that she's married. Like I would have that conversation first. Like I would bring that shit up out in the open first. Like I want that on the table so that that premise is already established, that we both know that we're, this is the situation. So she doesn't even have to tell me she's married. I see the ring and I'm bringing it up. So for example, I would be at a networking event and I would talk to her, hey, how you doing? How's your night going? And, I might talk to her for maybe a minute about the event and what she does and what I do and all this other stuff. Then what I would say to her is I'll say some shit like, so how long have you been married? Right? Now, from the point where I bring up the marriage, and she starts talking about her marriage, from that point, right, I start to move the conversation and the interaction forward to where I'm taking it in a direction to where I'm flirting, I'm building sexual tension, and if she allows that to happen, then essentially in most cases what she's saying is that she's cool with this going in that direction. Now, this is the thing. Sometimes women will do this because they like the attention. Remember, they want this and that. She wants her man, you feel what I'm saying? But she also likes the attention this new guy, which is me, is giving her. Shout out to Miles in the building. So she wants her man, but she also wants this new guy, which is me, to give her that attention. Now, what happens is this. Sometimes what women will do is, they'll just use a guy for attention because she's like, oh, this guy is giving me attention. I feel good. It's feeding my ego. But see, I know better than that because I have game. So I know how to figure out if a chick is, just trying to use me for attention or if we could take it further. So now what happens is there are times where I would talk to women and yes, some of them would just be liking the fact that I'm giving them attention, flirting with them so they can go home feeling good and all that other stuff, right? But more times than not, what will happen is that the flirty attention would turn into her flirting back with me. But remember, we've already established that I know she's married. So what happens is she's flirting with me, knowing she told me that she's married and knowing that I know she's married. So she's already cheating at this point. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like she's already doing something that she knows she shouldn't be doing, because if her man was standing right there, she wouldn't be flirting with me the way she's flirting with me. Right now, this is where it gets deeper. Right? And again, guys, don't do this. I'm gonna tell you, don't do this. This is where it gets deeper. And this is how I would get the woman to basically see me in certain situations as a better option to deal with than her man. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna leave her man. But what happens is that dealing with me in the capacity that I'm setting up for it to go down, what happens is that in that moment, it feels like it's a better choice for her to cheat than not cheat. You understand? And this is real simple, but I'm gonna give you an example of how to do this. So basically what I do is this, right? So when I'm talking to the woman, right? And let's say I'm having that conversation, oh, how long have you been married? And then what I do is that I get into a conversation and I ask her about her husband and all that other shit. Right? So now what happens is that she'll tell me something about her husband and her situation. And then I would tell her something about my situation with women. Now, what will happen is that, and this is very subtle, And so this hits her subconsciously, but it's very subtle, right? Well, what happened is that she would tell me something about her husband. I would tell her something about a chick that I'm dealing with or a girlfriend or whatever it is, right? And whatever she's telling me about her husband, right? What I would tell her about my situation would always seem better than her husband's situation with her. So for example, let's say I asked her, so what'd you guys do on your first date? And let's say she says this, and this is the key, and this is what I want to say before I get into all that. Another thing I want to tell you is that most guys, and this is why it was so easy for me to get women to cheat on their man, is because most guys are beta, and most guys are guys that women are in relationships with, where the woman is running the show. She doesn't really respect her man that much, and so forth and so on. So this is why it was even easier, because she's like, this guy's kind of a loser. I let him sleep on the couch and whatever. It's that type of vibe. But anyway, so she would tell me a story about her situation, and I would tell her a story about my situation. So for example, I would say, so what'd you guys do on your first date? And then let's say she said, oh, our first date was cool, but what was weird was like, he didn't know which place to pick. So he was a little bit like indecisive. And then I told him a place that I knew, and, then we got there, and when the check came, he didn't realize, he didn't know if he had enough money, but then, they did his card and it declined. But then the second card, it did what it did, but it was kind of funny or whatever it is like that. So basically she's telling me her story about her man. So basically what is she telling me? He's not a leader. He's kind of all over the place and all these other things. And she's telling me this, and this is the thing. It's easy to get women to explain these things because women like to talk, right? So now I would be listening to the story, I'll be laughing. I'm like, oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. This is very interesting, right? And then I would proceed and say, what I say. And I'm like, that's interesting. There was a woman that I went out on a date with last week. Very, very cool chick. And, what I did was I set up a time and place for her to meet me at this bar that I like. And it's a really cool bar, really good bartender. Me and him were really cool. We came through. He gave me my usual. She got a drink. We were talking about this. She was like bugging out, having a great time. And it was just really, really exciting because, and what was weird was on the date, she told me that I was the first guy that she's ever met off a dating app without having to have a long conversation. She said that she just knew there was something interesting about me that she wanted to explore, right? So now, look at my story versus her story. So now what happens is, I'm not telling her I'm better than her man. I'm not saying, hey, look, I'm better than your man. The story is telling her I'm better than her man. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not sitting there trying to point things out. I'm just having the conversation and she comes to her own conclusion. Do you understand? See, let me explain something to you guys when it comes to game. So what happens is that a lot of times the way that you influence people, right? You said, so you lied. No, I'm telling her exactly what I did. That's what I did. It wasn't a lie. It was the truth. I'm telling her the exact story. That's what I'm trying to say. And we're going to get to that in a second. So what happens is that when it comes to game, when it comes to influence, it's about a person interacting with you, viewing you, and engaging with you, and then them in their own mind coming to the conclusion of how cool you are, and sometimes how much cooler you are in relation to them, or how much cooler you are in relation to their situation. So again, like I said, she's thinking about this and that. So this is her man, but that is me. And right now, within that just one story, I'm winning. You understand what I'm saying? So basically, from when we step back, she's looking at like, damn, this guy's cooler than my man. Right now, think about it this way. I just want you guys. I just want to illustrate it so you guys understand. Let's say, for example, I met a person and that person said to me, hey, I sell books. Like I write books and I sell them. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, And they tell me, yeah, I wrote a few books And what I do is I go out in the city. I have a table. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to my dude 1950 in the building. So let's say this person tells me, hey, I write books. And what I do is I have a table that I set up, in the city, and I go there from about like 10 a.m. to about 8 p.m. and I stand outside all day and I sell my books, right? And so they're telling me this is the story of how they sell their books. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. And then let's say I tell them, hey, you know what? That's cool. What's actually interesting is I sell books too. And this is what I do. I have a website and I put my book on the website and I just pay for ads to get hits to the website. So now I sell lots of books in my sleep. You understand? It's really fun. It's a really cool thing. Like, I really like my website. I sell a lot of cool books on my website while I sleep. I sometimes I just stay home and watch movies and people are buying my books online. I don't even have to leave the house. Now, did I tell this guy that my way of selling books is more efficient than his way, or did he pick up that my way is more efficient? So I didn't say, hey guy, I got a cooler way to sell books than you. Check this out. I didn't say that. I'm just telling him the story just like he told me the story. But what he's gonna pick up on, he's gonna be like, damn it, Locario's doing it better than me. You see? So this is what I'm trying to tell you. So he's like, Locario's doing it better than me. And so what happens is that all I'm doing is having the conversation. The conversation is getting the person to pick up on it. Oh shit, this guy, he's cooler. So now what happens is this, right? Let's go back to me talking to the woman and interacting with the woman, right? So what happens is that when I'm talking to this woman, right? And I'm interacting with this woman, she's already flirting with me because I started to flirt with her already. So she's flirting back. So essentially she's telling me and showing me that she's interested in me already. And remember, she told me she has a husband because the wedding ring is already there. I pointed, hey, how long have you been married? We've already been talking about this. So she's flirting with me under the premise of me knowing she's married and her knowing she's a married woman. And remember, like I said earlier, the woman is gonna do what she feels benefits her. But remember, she's in a monogamous relationship. So she has to choose this or that. So what does that mean? That means if she chooses that, which is me, to fuck with me, she could potentially lose this, which is her man. See, sometimes what happens is that a woman may not cheat, not necessarily because she doesn't want to, but because she doesn't want to lose this, which is her man, right? But if I'm in a situation where she has to choose this or that, and that is seeming like a better option than this, then she's going to choose that. Or in other words, if she's with her man, and I seem like a better option than her man, she's going to cheat. Click the link below and get your tickets to the Game Kings 2, The Definition of a Man documentary screening that's going to be held in Miami on October 26th, 2024. You'll be the first to watch the documentary, and then after the documentary, you'll be able to participate in a question and answer session with the Game Kings live. Space is limited, so click the link below and get your tickets now. Now, before you go, click the link below and go to badboymembership.com. Now, badboymembership.com is a place where you go to get 45 through 90-minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. Listen, I know you're tired of being rejected. Go to badboymembership.com. I know you're tired of being afraid to approach women. Go to badboymembership.com. I know you're tired of not getting the women that you want. Go to badboymembership.com. Listen, I know you're tired of being alone on a Friday night. Go to badboymembership.com. Now picture this. You'll go from not getting what you want when it comes to you dealing with women to actually getting what you want, to being the guy women want to be with, women want to date, women want to have sex with. All you need to do is go to badboymembership.com, follow the steps, learn the game, implement the game, and then you will get the woman you want. Make sure you go to badboymembership.com today. Click the link below. Click the link below or go straight to mr.locario.com to get the documentary Game Kings, The Definition of Game.